Cosplayers. What's one cosplay you will never do again and why? Plague Doctor. The mask bent and the goggles fogged up. Fell way too many times. M. Bison. My costume caught on fire going too near a heat source, and severely burned my legs, lower back, and butt. My sis and I dressed up as Zatanna for a con. A guy asked to take our pictures together. Our boobs accidentally touched and he outright moaned. Joke's on him. I am flat cheated, so those boobs were filled with socks. I tried 3D printing an entire Iron Man armor. Took forever to get just the arms and they looked terrible. Edit. Well, this took off. If anyone comes across my post, this is what the final product looks like. I should point out that the forearms on the left of the last picture are glued together, so that's the final product. Pyramid head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move, see, eat, drink, literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt, dress like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk. Hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Ryuk or any Shinigami in Death Note because it was a lot of work for people to just think you were from Kiss. One year I did piñata. It was fun as hell, but it was a layer of fabric, a layer of Eva foam, and then all the fabric on top. It was absolutely frocking roasting and next to impossible to see. Not exactly cosplay. But I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea. Everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos. And you hear, haha I found you, at least 800 times. Never again. Professor X. Only reason I chose it was because I had torn my LCL and still wanted to attend the event, so I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Slenderman. I got really into the craze back in the day being a 6'3", skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan car before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head, nose, so through the morph suit you just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smooshed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end. Daft Punk. I decided to use a privacy screen as the screen part and couldn't see more than about 3 feet in front of me at certain mathematically significant angles and 0 degrees in other angles. Rorschach. I saw almost nothing under that mask and couldn't enjoy anything. Dr. Roxo. Nobody wants to see that. Coo yeah. Real reason is while fun I have no place to put anything. No pockets. Nowhere to store cash, ID. And if it's cold, forget about it. Also, seriously, nobody wants to see that. I kept it screen accurate, no, kid friendly, steps, and I wore it to age appropriate events. Edit. Okay, I may bring it out this coming year. Seems like there'd be enough of a positive response to warrant it. Goku. Back in college I had long curly hair. And a girl who was amused by it straightened it and used hairspray to get it to stick straight up. Then I used black spray on it. Though it was so big, I would have been better off going Super Saiyan. After college I chopped my hair, so impossible to do it justice again. Graffiti skin tracer from Overwatch. Paint kept transferring from the gas mask onto my face and my mask was literally dripping water from my breathing. It was hot and stuffy and gross. Edit. I don't know how to add pics on mobile. Lame, I know. But I'm pretty sure I have some far enough down my Instagram feed at Burnt Waffles Cosplay. One of the 300. I'll never be in that kind of shape again. I dressed up as Robot Unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy. Also glitter everywhere. TDKR Bane. I'm a bodybuilder and have a shaved head, so why not? Couldn't breathe. My lungs didn't care who I was until I took off the mask. Faye Valentine for Cowboy Bebop. Not because of awkward guy comments, but because of other lady cosplayers that would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension. Recruit from Rainbow Six Siege. Everyone thought I was a terrorist and had to leave. Stormtrooper. It was custom made to fit me and I was so uncomfortable in it. It was hot and I couldn't see. I also would be lucky if I came out of it without cutting myself. Darth Vader. Wore it for years in 2-hour stints. Vision is awful and zero skin is shown anywhere, so it's hot. Real hot. Lots of wiring for lights and sound mean there's always something that can, and does, go wrong. Lots of kids coming up and randomly pressing buttons on the chest. Plus the cape is hard to control. Now I keep him permanently displayed on a 6'5" mannequin. Edit. Clarified that this is not the wrestler by adding Darth. I use a wheelchair and I was a Dalek one year. It was very popular and I had a lot of people wanting pictures but I couldn't fit through doorways and kept hitting people. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Even though you seem like a bot. Edit 2. Here are the only 2 pictures I could find. Picture 1. Picture 2. It was huge because my wheelchair was huge and it had to fit around all the parts of it. Then taper up to be thinner at the top. It was a very fun craft project that took a lot of manpower and time. But in hindsight, using cardboard was not the wisest idea because the second any moisture got on it, it lost a lot of its stiffness. Live and learn. I did a One Punch Man cosplay at Comic-Con. I sit you not about an hour in a guy that was playing one of the enemy characters from the first season. I believe the leader of the aliens that invaded on that huge ship came sprinting down the walkway and punched me square in the stomach as hard as he could. I unconsciously tensed my muscles up so that absorbed a lot of the impact, but though it looks like I was fine, I felt like both my lungs had collapsed and about 3 ribs punctured my stomach. Princess Zelda. I got a lot of compliments. But also an uncomfortable number of guys kept trying to flirt with me. Might have been even weirder if I wasn't a straight dude. I once went to a Halo convention as Church. From Red vs. Blue. Midway through the con, I had one of my friends pretend to kill me. I felt so bad for him, because everyone was screaming at him, "You killed Church. You team-killing frocktard. If I ever do it again, I'll claim to be Epsilon instead." Lucy Heartfelia from Fairy Tale. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem. It's pretty simple to be fair. But it had other issues. Firstly, I have small boobs and the character doesn't. The amount of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also, it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold. Edit. Clarity. Edit 2. Thank you all for showing support and our own experiences. You are a good bunch. Lord Business from the Lego Movie. Or actually any Lego character for that matter. The head was too heavy, and I could barely move. Edit. Okay, wow. I didn't quite expect this comment to get as much attention. But thank you for the gold. No Face from Spirited Away. At least not in public. I was accused of racism. Asked to leave the subway. Then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population, so I can see why they thought I was being in his hole. What with the black cloak, black paint on my arms and the gold painted pebbles in my hands. Literally any kid's character. Parents need to control their children at cons. The number of times I've had kids pull at capes or sneeze on my cosplay or whatever is infuriating. Out of all of the cosplays I've made, the most awkward is definitely Elma from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I've always worn her to summer cons and my horn would fall off every time. But the worst time was when it literally broke off and left residual model magic on my forehead. Also, the fabric I used for the tail stained my ass blue. Thanks Yaya Han. Sailor Moon. I felt beautiful and powerful, but the groping and upskirt pics, they think they're so sly, were repugnant. Edit. Blush. Thanks for all the kind words and sympathy. I don't have any fantastic pics, but this captures most of the details. Shadow the Hedgehog. It was a mistake and I don't think I need to explain further. Edit. Thanks for the gold, and no, I didn't do blackface for those wondering. Edna, from The Incredibles. I am a short gothic lady and at the time had the same haircut as her. Went as her for a Halloween party and it's my nickname ever since, especially when I'm angry. I frocking hate it. Edit. OMG, my first popular comment is about my nickname and I'm freaking out. Also, I hate it because I also see the similarities between us and it makes me mad because I wanted to be Violet when the movie came out. Thanks Reddit. I dressed up in a pun costume that was a mix between Inspector Gadget and a go-go dancer. I was Go-Go Gadget. I had neon fishnets, string lights in my trench coat, light-up glasses, and all these other rave gadgets. I wouldn't do it again, because wearing Heelys for hours tore up my feet. Asterisk asterisk edit. Holy shit, this blew up. I went to work and came back to all this. Most of you want to see the costume. I didn't get many pictures, but here's a decent one. Imager. Gallery, OHFXCWW. Made a pretty great Solaire of Astora costume with real chain mail and armor, and holy shit, after 6 hours of wearing that heavy ass metal, my back, shoulders, and arms were frockin' wrecked. Edit. Wow, first gold. Praise the sun. Master Chief. Every Halloween at school I would wear an over-the-top costume, and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond, so I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. Only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic, so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. so I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me at the end of the day. Also, my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year I went as a vault dweller and I could actually move and stuff. Widowmaker. I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second. And the body paint, tattoos were always rubbing off cause of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again. The lusty Argonian maid. For obvious reasons. The costume was too much for me and now I live my life making inappropriate Todd Howard jokes, all while dressed as a seductive Argonian. Junkrat. Never again. The one time I went, I had my best buddy as Lucio. I mean, the cosplay worked perfectly. I have a prosthetic hand. Amputee struggles XD. Have a British accent. It sounds Australian enough if I try. And I stood at 6'3". My buddy had to keep people from touching my arm and asking if it was real. One time, I got so annoyed that I just took it off and waved my stump. Plus, the spray paint for the prosthetic was a pain to scrub off, and the wig was very itchy. Though there was a group there with various other Overwatch characters and we had fun taking photos. Charlie Chaplin. He's easily mistaken for another guy. Edit. Chaplin not Chaplin. Nami from One Piece, it was a bikini top, had a nip slip, which wasn't too bad, and a dude jumped in front of me, let me know, and covered me while I fixed it. The problem is that he then spent the next 2 days thanking me for the experience. Bro, one thank you is weird. 2 days? Edit. Thanks for the gold? Hamilton. Turns out prop guns look like guns that are illegal, especially dueling pistols. Misa from Death Note. No one knew who I was supposed to be. Very cold cosplay in early spring. Not never again. But I was Cars from JJBA at a con this month and I'm for sure putting that one away until the weather gets good and hot again. Mystique. I was fully clothed and 17 and yet the internet was creepy. Would totally do Nigel Thornberry Sailor Moon again though. Edit. Holy shit, I thought this comment would just disappear towards the bottom of the thread. Thank you. Also, if anyone wants to see my underage Mystique M. Imager. Cosplayers, Z9TNO. Also, my favorite reaction to the Sailor Nigel cosplay I read was that one woman changed her husband's phone background to it while he was having a nap. No idea what happened when he woke up, but I like to imagine it was funny. Honestly, I'm never going to cosplay any guy character who doesn't have, like, plate armor or something. Binding did not go well for me. Even with a legitimate binder made with folks who bind daily, near daily in mind, and I like my lungs working. Batman. Some kid pulled my cape and it took my helmet and back piece out. They were all one piece of armor and I couldn't put them back together. I dressed up as the guy from Ghost with a city pope costume and corpse paint for Halloween in Texas. Almost got my ass kicked by a drunk hick who was upset about the shooting in Pittsburgh that had just happened and overheard me making a joke about selling indulgences. Was a weird night. Wizard of Oz Strawman. Classmate set me on fire. Motoko from Ghost in the Shell in her sack full tech suit gear. Full body suit with Gore-Tex and ended up getting heat stroke in the first 30 minutes. Haven't worn it since. Edit cosplay tax for those asking. Not at my desktop, so sorry for the low res. Beast Boy. Maybe I will again, just not in San Diego in July. The face paint I was using was pretty good and held up until about the last hour. Luckily I was wearing gloves so I was able to touch stuff, but it was pretty hot and miserable. Baymax from Big Hero 6. I usually do anime cosplays and I never have to deal with a large suit like that. For the hospital I was volunteering for I offered to cosplay for them. They decided to choose the outfit for me. One plastic mask that covered my eyes a little and an inflatable suit that broke after 5 minutes. Down the street of the event we were doing was another Baymax with a perfect suit with a light-up screen. Needless to say I was dying of embarrassment the entire time. Never again will I cosplay full anime. Plate. Armor. I went as Gilgamesh from Fate Stay Night, all 3D printed. 8 unrelenting hours trapped in a plastic cocoon. Skin unable to breathe. Pinching. Serious chafing. Huge welts and blisters all over, and on the way home I turned in a funny way. Snap went the armor, and by that point I had enough. I took everything off, threw it in the nearest bin, and made the remaining journey home barefoot in cycling shorts and a red cape. A Titan. While I was covered people kept assuming I wasn't and I was constantly hassled. Whoa, this took off. Attack on Titan. Bosch the Stampede. One of my favorite characters of all time. The hair takes way too long to get right. I don't use wigs. Plus I lost the gun prop I made and I don't feel like making a new one. Tifa Lockhart. I have never felt more unsafe and violated. I could not tell you the number of times I was groped. Or how many vile rape type things were said to me. It wasn't even one of her more revealing outfits, as I didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to wear those. I thought I was being safer more covered up. I did a steampunk cosplay. I made a belt out of chains that wrapped down my leg and had a corset and gold half masquerade mask. The corset was a nightmare to get on by itself, not to mention making sure my chains didn't break or fall off. Now I cannot remember how to get the corset on, so I gave up. Haha. Link. Turned around too fast with my sword in my sheath and gave my friend a concussion. Freddy Fazbear from Fnaf. Too many little kids bombarding me and being rude. Hated it. Not me, but my cousin once cosplayed Meliodas from the 7 Deadly Sins and someone threw a drink at him asking for him to full counter it. To be perfectly honest, even though I really like the costume itself, and I'm proud of how it turned out, probably my Scarlet Spider costume I made for C2E2 last year. Those lenses fogged up so hard that I walked around the convention functionally blind and being guided around by my friends. Ended up taking the mask off and leaving it hanging around my neck when we got to Artist Alley. Because honestly, what's the point of going there if you can't see all the cool posters, prints people are selling? If I can figure out how to solve the fogging issue, I might wear it again. But I'm probably just going to make a cosplay I can actually see out of next time. Edit. Here's a picture of the suit in question. Imager. VHCY8VZ. Kaneki. The tentacles are so heavy. To be purely because I have no boobs and it makes me too insecure. Lol. I dressed up as the 10th Doctor for Katsucon a few years ago. I like Doctor Who, but I hadn't even finished the 10th Doctor's run. More or less seen any classic Who. I was berated by several classic Doctors who I had no idea who they were. Basically learned that I won't dress up at a con unless I know the franchise pretty well. Thanks for the kind encouragement. All. Pyramid Head. Like. On stilts. So uncomfortable. Characters that I don't know because a friend asked. Awkward conversation with real fans and got hated really quickly. Sailor Neptune. The amount of pervy people just because you're wearing a short skirt and cosplaying a lesbian character. No, I will not make out with my Sailor Uranus for you. Violet Evergarden. I was very proud of the cosplay. I even managed to find an authentic looking suitcase similar to the one she carried around. My arm hurt after carrying it around all day since it was quite heavy. The heels got uncomfortable, too. And yet I made the mistake of wearing it when Fate Grand Order was in full swing. Everyone just thought I was Saber. I won't wear it until FGO popularity dies down. But even then I'm afraid I won't get recognized anyway. Went as a transforming transformer. The pink ice cream truck. Can't recall the name. When I squatted down in a crouch, the headset flopped over my head and made the truck complete with wheels since I was wearing Heelys. Edit. It makes more sense if I explain I was part of a 2-person team. I was the front. He held onto my waist and made the rear base. You could turn the headlights on and off by pressing a switch on my shoulder. Took me forever to wire those frockers up. And of course some asshat followed me around for an hour clicking what he called my boob lights on and off until they broke. A grown man, not a child. Not me. But my brother went trick or treating in that inflatable T-Rex costume. And boy was it a frocking mess. The tail was dragging along the floor, so we had to constantly pick it up in order to prevent ripping. The thing is massive, so it was annoying to walk on sidewalks in it. Not to mention the kids who want to get pictures. And on top of it, there is no ventilation at all, so he was as sweaty as a pig. So here is a tip: if you are a parent or guardian who has a child that wants one, don't buy it. It's an expensive hassle. Lieutenant Jim Dangle. Turns out cops love Reno 911 and all want to take a picture with you. I like weed too much to have a cop stopping me every 5 minutes. Daredevil. I couldn't see sit. I once tried to cosplay as Purple Guy from Five Nights at Freddy's and my family kept asking me why I was dressed like a purple crayon. And also one of my friends called me a purple vibrator for some reason, so I just decided to never cosplay as him ever again. Lynn. From Fire Emblem. The Blazing Blade bought the costume and was excited to put it on, only to realize that you could literally see the top of my underwear and some extra skin above it front be slit on the side. I'm definitely too young for a thong, so I might have to wait a few years to do that one. Rip over $100. Edit. I'm surprised how much advice I'm getting on this. Thank you to anyone who replied. I still have the costume lying around, so I'll remember these for the future. Single quote. Not me, but a friend I knew did Harley Quinn one year. The same year as Suicide Squad actually, and she got groped by men asking for pictures with her since she did look very much like Margot Robbie and she is naturally attractive. Not only was I disgusted, but she was so upset and infuriated that she no longer wishes to cosplay in anything with even remote levels of sex appeal. Kibutsuji Muzan. Because I'm not Michael Jackson. He. Knowing me, I will do it again, because I love the character. but X23 was pretty hard. Red-tinted goggles, delicate claws that broke halfway through the con, and my crop top earned me creepy looks and rude comments. Jessica Rabbit. I don't know what it was, but for some reason people really didn't like seeing a grown-ass man in a red dress and lipstick. I dressed up as Bender from Futurama 3 years in a row. But I don't think I will ever do it again because it was such a pain in the ass to see. Here's a picture of me in costume and I could literally only see out of the 2 tiny holes I made in the eyes. I could probably figure something out, but I'm too lazy for that, and the way I would make the head was pretty easy. Plus, since the bottom part was just long johns, you could see the outline of my junk sometimes, and I had a drunk gay guy grab it at a party because of that. Agritsuko. I was burning up inside her outfit. Kana Kamui. I was 15 and a gross fat sweaty stereotypical neckbeard looking guy tried to take upskirt pics of me. It wasn't a cosplay, but a Halloween costume for a university party. I went as Two-Face as part of a group Halloween costume. Batman villains. And went all in on the liquid latex face makeup. It looked grotesque. I was distinctly proud of myself. There was a guy from my course that I thought I was definitely in with who was also at the party. It turns out that fake horror burns aren't exactly conducive to drunken makeouts, and he ended up going off with someone whose costume consisted of a corset, a pair of booty shorts, and a set of cat ears. Me? Bitter? No. Frank the Giant Bunny Rabbit. Turns out a furry onesie can get really warm when you walk around with it all day. Was less of a cosplay and more a Halloween costume. At a Halloween party at a frat house, I was Misty from Pokemon, walking through a hallway when some guy calls out, "Hey Misty, do you have a Brock Turner?" You know, Brock Turner. Stanford rapist. Kinda soured my view on a costume I'd been reusing for like 5 Halloweens at that point. Not cosplay. But I dressed up as a Katamari in the late 2000s. I used one of those necks, I think, spheres that expand and contract. I filled it with random objects, and called it good. There were 2 points that did pain on my shoulders. And nobody got the reference. Anything from a 90s anime that isn't Evangelion or Pokemon. I cosplayed Yukio from Ranma. It was one of the first popular dubbed animes and she's the childhood friend of the protagonist. A year or 2 ago at Anime Expo. I put in a lot of work to make the costume authentic and only 3 people recognized me. It was almost heartbreaking. A Jedi during a premiere. My lightsaber went off during an emotional moment and I was the only Jedi in the theater. Flandra Scarlet. Don't get me wrong, it's probably my favorite one I've done so far, but I hit so many people trying to walk around with those wings and they're not easy to manage in a convention setting. Sans from Undertale. It was my first cosplay, but I made a papier mock mask for it with tights stretched over the eye holes, and my god, I've never been simultaneously sweatier and more unable to see in a costume in my life. Edit. Speaking of, this was about 3 years ago and the mask is still structurally sound. I have it in my room here. Spider-Man. Made the mistake of wearing a skin-tight bodysuit and went to a Halloween party at a local pub. I was pretty in shape at the time, and this was just at the beginnings of the #MeToo movement. Everyone was grabbing at my dig and butt. Trench coat dude standing on a corner. I almost got arrested. Philia. From Skullgirls. I worked for weeks on the wig. I tore out a chunk of hair from the back of the wig and installed a felt armature to look like the mouth, and then relaid all the hair to make it look seamless. Hand-molded and carved teeth. 2. The night before the convention, my best friend accidentally dumped her nail polish on it, and because the nail polish was a light color and the wig is black, I could never get it all out. Wore it once and then hid it away until I was less angry with my friend. Oops. Surprised I am not seeing more Homestuck. Back in the day though, I cosplayed Karkit, and damn did all the gray body paint get everywhere. No amount of setting spray would make you 100% smear proof through a whole sweaty day. I've heard horror stories about Homestucks hugging other cosplayers and just smearing paint all over them. That or trashing hotel rooms with gray all over the bathroom and beds. Princess Peach. It was so uncomfortable and hard to move in a hoopskirt. And I was overheating and would keep tripping over my dress. You can't even bend down. Lapis Lazuli from Steven Universe. At least not the way I did it the first time. I had to paint a lot of my body blue, but the paint wasn't one of those no stain. Everything I touched turned blue. It was like I was melting blue because it was so hot at the convention. I dressed as Link and got the normal "Oh hi Zelda," which I think is funny, and laughed it off. But also got a lot of nerdy guys questioning me about my dedication to The Legend of Zelda. Sit like, you're not a true fan if you didn't play. Insert their fave Zelda game here. And if I stated that I have indeed played it, they would then question every detail about the game to prove it. A girl could dress up as anyone and get harassed though, honestly. I once saw a guy cosplaying as the alien from the Alien vs Predator movies. Wore a full rubber, no idea what it was exactly, suit in what was probably 40 Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit you guys. I asked him if he didn't feel hot. He said, "I'm literally dying." So yeah, he probably won't do that again. Edit. Apparently I should have said he cosplayed a xenomorph from the Alien franchise. You know what I mean. Dwight Schrute from The Office. People thought I was interviewing for a new job. Lol. D.Va. I'm a guy. And the suit wasn't exactly made for male anatomy. It also didn't have any pockets. The wig I wore was a massive pain. Especially since I'm not used to having long hair. It kept getting in front of my eyes. I kept getting hair in my mouth. And it got more and more tangled as the night went on. But the worst part was that going to the bathroom was a massive pain. I'd have to leave the gloves, headset with a friend. Go to the bathroom. Take the wig off. Hang the wig up. Unzip the suit from the back. Use the toilet. Zip the suit up. Put the wig back on. Adjust the wig. Then go put the headset and gloves back on. Reaper from Overwatch. I made a female version and it was awesome. But the armor was extremely bulky. And the gloves prevented me from doing literally everything. Also, the claws, which I'd attached to the gloves, wouldn't sit on my fingers properly. So it always looked like my fingers were broken and the claws were just hanging awkwardly from the top. Also people asking to touch my guns and getting angry when I said no after other people had broken parts of them. Junko Enoshima. Less than pre greater than so. Many. Fangirls. Less than pre greater than. Nanako from P4. There was nothing creepier than that being a cosplay that attracted men. Hatsune Miku. I wore this costume to the first Comic-Con I went to. I was 10 years old at the time. And a lot of creeps tried to touch under the skirt, so basically I'm not wearing skirts to conventions anymore. By the way, sorry my grammar. English is not my first language. Not cosplay but dressed up as Jesus Christ for Halloween in Oklahoma. Didn't really go over as well as I'd thought. Diavolo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I paint the black top on by hand every time I wear it and it takes usually 2 to 3 hours to get ready. Dressed up as Jack Skellington once and only ever the once. Why so many people wanted to hear me say his quotes was beyond me. Putting on his trademark voice so many damn times actually made me physically sick.